FNFB podcast. We're here to do week 4. Is it week 4?
You're Darian and I'm Mike.
There we go. Yeah. Sorry, I got sidetracked. It's week 4, right?
Yeah, it's week 4.
All right. I see, because I was gonna. Usually I say we're here to do episode, but then I just started saying we're gonna do week whatever, and I got sidetracked because it's a different number. So.
That's okay, because last week just ruined my brain, so you have an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know, man. All right, so tonight, Thursday Night Football, 8:20, Vikings at Rams. It's okay. It's not going to be as good of a game as I thought it was going to be
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, because here's the thing. I've got a few of my notes that I have going into this podcast on my MacBook, and one thing I have specifically, one tab I have open, is the Vikings schedule, because, this isn't going to be very long, but I just want to tell you what. So they're 1-1-1. They beat the Niners week 1 by 8, and Jimmy Garoppolo had more chances than he should have to try to win that game. He just has no skill position players, because 3 guys dropped what would have been either huge chunk plays or touchdowns in the fourth quarter. So they could have tied that game. There's a lot going on with like 2-point conversions or all that crap. But the point is, they barely squeaked by what's probably a mediocre 49er team. They tied with the Vikings because they just couldn't figure out the whole kicker thing. And they just laid, I don't even know what you call it. I guess like a really stinky egg at home last week against the Buffalo Bills, the Josh Allen-led Buffalo Bills. They lost 27-6. They got smacked at home. So I'm going to steal a Bill Simmons-ism. Are we sure the Vikings are good? Because a lot of people I've seen that were Redskin fanatics or, whatever, were like Kirk Cousins truthers, and they're like, well, we'll be fine without him. He's not even that good. Alex Smith better, all this stuff. And I'm like, y'all are like feeling yourselves, really. But like, are we sure?
Well, in their defense, Alex Smith is better than Kirk Cousins.
I agree with that. But they were like, so that I didn't articulate that well enough. There were a lot of people in the franchise or around the franchise who A, didn't want to commit to Kirk Cousins long term, obviously, and B, were kind of happy to see him go. So, are we sure that he's good and that the Vikings are good? Because I'm not sure. I just don't know.
Man. Let's just say that I don't think he's an upgrade over Case Keenum.
You don't think he's an upgrade?
And they could have got Case Keenum for cheaper. I think they spent money they shouldn't have spent.
I think they should have re-signed
in a way that they shouldn't have.
So, yeah, no, I agree with you. And sorry to interrupt, but I think they should have re-signed Teddy Bridgewater.
Maybe.
I don't think he'd be any worse than Kirk Cousins, and I think he also has an X factor of, being able to move more than Kirk Cousins can. And Kirk Cousins isn't like, he's not like standing back there like a old ass, I'm not even gonna say Tom Brady, because Tom Brady will still take off sometimes, but like Peyton Manning.
Very slowly.
Hey man, he's a track star. But yeah, so getting back to the original topic, I went off on a tangent there about the Vikings. I just don't think they're very good, and I don't know what to say about them. I don't know why they're not very good, but because they have a great defense, and like they have some of the best the best defensive players at their respective positions in the entire league. Like Harrison Smith, I think, is one of the best. He's like a top 3 safety in the leagues. So like they just have so many good players, and I just don't know why they got smacked by Josh Allen and the Bills. And I think it was more telling than people are probably letting on, like not overreacting to it. But I would be worried if I was a Vikings fan. So with that being said, the Rams look pretty much unstoppable right now. So, I'm taking the LA Rams. So, I just think they're going to smack, and it's in LA too. They're going to smack Kirk Cousins. So,
yeah, you said it a lot. I don't mean that in a bad way.
I did say a lot.
But, yeah, but I've never been a Kirk Cousins fan. I've never been a Kirk Cousins fan.
Me either.
The downside of this whole thing, though, now that I'm thinking about it, is Talib's out, Peters is out.
Well, Peters still has a chance to play it from last I saw.
He's not going to play this week. He's just not as hurt as they thought he was.
Are you Mark?
Yeah. Talib's out for a while, and Peters. I mean, they can say what they want to say. He's not going to play this week, and all it's going to take is one little shake by Diggs or Thielen, and then his ankle's going to go kabink, and he's going to be done again.
Well, I just want to say one thing as of yesterday. So, and I'm not like, I think you're right, and it would be pretty weird to play him on a short week if he's hurt, I think. But as of yesterday, they said that he's going to be a game time decision. So they'll probably get him out on the field and see how he feels. So, but Peters might play, but continue. I just wanted to toss that out there because I could have sworn I saw Sean McVay say that, and PFT had it, so I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah, but I mean, my whole thing is that it's a short week, right? It's only been he was out of the game, done, and then all of a sudden he's going to turn around and come back like he would normally play 4 days later.
Right, and I agree with you. And even if he could, I'm not sure you should. So
yeah, even if he plays, it's not Marcus Peters healthy. So
right. And plus,
I'm pondering this now. We got I don't know. But they are playing in LA, so
right. And I'm not sure that they can slow down Todd Gurley and Jared Goff and Cooper Kupp and all these guys anyway, and Brandon Cooks. I'm just not sure they can. Even though they have a great defense, I'm not sure it matters against an offense of this caliber. They're like. I don't know.
Well, I got to catch up to you, so I'm taking the Vikings, and what I think could actually be not as entertaining as I thought it was going to be originally, like you were saying 2 weeks ago. But
right. It could be though. I'm hoping it is.
I'm taking the Vikings, and I actually might watch that game. Well, no, I won't. Sorry, boss. I'll be working.
I'll definitely be watching, but it's not a bad pick at all. It's a 50-50 game that I don't think is actually 50-50. But it could be. I know that sounds weird to say.
No, I know. If the Vikings everybody thought was the Vikings shows up,
right, then it's going to be
it could be a really good game.
It's a clash of the Titans for sure. But yeah, exactly.
But if the Bills Vikings show up, then it's going to be 56-9.
I do want to say one other thing, and then we'll move on to the Sunday games. Because we spent a little too much time on this, and that's my fault because I kind of crapped on the Vikings a little because I'm just underwhelmed by their performance so far these first 3 weeks. But this is what I think will be the NFC Championship matchup. So we're going to get a little head start there. So I do think that these two teams are on a collision course to meet each other in January. I'm not sure they'll be the same teams they are now. Then obviously, I mean, they'll probably be vastly different, but I think they're going to be, and I think it'll be in LA again. So that's why it's exciting to me because games that I think could eventually be playoff matchups, we kind of get to they kind of feel each other out and stuff. So that's interesting to me. So, all right. So you're taking Minnesota. I've got the Rams. Let's move on to the Sunday game. So which game you got first that you're looking at?
The Jets at Jacksonville.
Oh man, you got anything to say about this game, or is this going to be a short one?
Jaguars only because they're playing a rookie quarterback.
And their defense is still good. I mean, so the Jags are like a really bipolar team. They destroyed the Patriots on both sides of the ball. They just outcoached the Patriots. They outplayed them and outcoached them a couple weeks ago. But then they knock Blaine Gabbert out because Mariota couldn't go because he can't feel half of his hand. Right. Which is never good. If you can't feel, I guess it was the funny bone is in his elbow.
It's the ulna, right? There's two bones.
Yeah.
We're not having a biology lesson. There's two bones. There's the ulna and the radius, and if you break one of them,
mm-hmm.
Depending on where you break it, it can pinch the nerve a little bit while it's trying to heal. Or even if you bruise it, it'll swell up, right? And that's what happens. So he's got numb fingers, and so he can't grip the ball like he should. And they still couldn't beat him.
Right. And
that's terrible.
So
terrible.
we should mention that it was the final of that last week. The Titans Jags was 9-6. So it was a defensive battle for sure. But yeah, I just expected more after the way that they laid the smackdown and dominated the Patriots 2 weeks ago. I expect more out of Jacksonville, but I just think that they're going to be up and down all year, so you can't really count on them.
No, watch, they'll run the table.
Yeah,
because we said that,
and their defense is good enough to. So I just don't know. And the Jets, I think that they're still feeling out the whole Sam Darnold thing, and I think he's decent. I think he's good. But it's going to be a learning experience year for them. I don't think they're going to be good enough right away to make the playoffs in the wild card or anything like that. Like I maybe possibly could have hinted at the beginning of these podcasts. Because I thought maybe that upside was there, but I'm just not sure they're good enough roster wise or coaching wise to be able to make that happen. So I'm taking the Jaguars at home. I just think that they're if nothing else they can pull off a reverse of last week's score of 9-6 if they need to in their favor. So
yeah. All right. So what is the game that you have?
Oh man.
Next.
In my opinion, game of the week for for 1:00 games. One game of the week. I honestly think that. CBS 1:00 in Foxborough. The Miami Dolphins visit the New England Patriots. My New England Patriots. So, you want to talk about this game at all?
I'm sure you'll fill in plenty. I got the Dolphins.
All right. So basically, I just want to say that Josh Gordon should probably be playing this week. Hopefully, he wasn't playing last week because even though Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter both reported that once he was traded to New England, he should be good to go for Sunday against Detroit, but he still was limited in practice with his hamstring, so he couldn't. They just kept him on the sideline, but he should be there, which will help Brady a lot because nobody on that team can get open right now. Gronk's double or triple teamed, so it's pretty bad. They missed Julian Edelman. This was a desperation trade for them. Miami, on the other hand, has looked super weird all 3 weeks, and I don't know what to make of them. Week 1, they had a weird 8-hour game. That was the Hurricane game with like the 2 or 3 like hour or 2 hour long delays against the Titans that they ended up beating. So they beat the Titans. So it was like hard to get a like feel for that team week 1. Either of those teams week 1 because I still don't. I still feel like Tennessee's weird too because they just beat Jacksonville, blah 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 blah. But like they're weird. Who did they play week 2? Do we know?
You just said the Titans. Oh no, that was week 1.
That was week 1. They played. I'm looking now because I'm curious who they beat. They beat the Jets. That's right. When Sam Darnold, after his high of week 1, destroying the Lions, the Jets kind of came back to earth, even though it was in the Meadowlands, and they handled business on the road. And then last week, they beat the Raiders. So, what is going on over there, buddy?
My mic being stupid.
That's fine. They beat the Raiders, so the Dolphins. I don't know what to expect. Are they really a 3-0 team, or are they like a 9-7 team that's getting the 9 right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, short and sweet. Trey Flowers, Patrick Chung, Josh Gordon, Rex Burkhead, Juwan Bentley.
Juwan Bentley, by the way, he's probably the best draft pick the Patriots have made in like 4 or 5 years. And
he's on IR now.
I know, and it's killer for them.
And that's the thing. They're missing a lot. And I know that it's the Patriots. I know this and that, but it got a lot of key people that are kind of either hurt or out or gonna be suspiciously healthy, maybe.
Yeah. They're really down on skill position players, and they were going into the season anyway. They had I think 3 receivers that could play week 1 because obviously Edelman was suspended. That's why I was saying that the Josh Gordon trade was a desperation trade because they need help. They just do. So
who are you picking?
I'm taking New England, but I don't feel very confident about it. I just think it's at home, and I don't know the last time. I'd have to look it up. The last time New England lost 3 games in a row. So I'm not sure they ever have under the Bill Belichick and Brady, combo era. I don't know the last time they've ever lost 3 games at home. So, and to be fair, both of the other games were on the road against one team that was really good and one team that we really don't know. And the whole facing your old coordinator who knows your defense and your offense, that whole thing's kind of wishy-washy. So I was a little worried going into that game, even though I thought they'd handle business. They didn't. But I don't know. But Miami historically gives New England trouble in New England and in Miami. Every year they've given them, a game. So every time they play, it's not easy. I'm taking New England, but I don't feel super confident about it.
Okay.
And you're taking Miami, you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Eagles at Titans.
What was that?
Eagles at Titans.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to figure this one out. I'm trying to think if there's any universe at all in which the Titans can win this game. Well,
there is. You want to know the universe?
Sure.
They just beat the best defense in football, so they can beat this team, and it's at home now too.
Okay, slow your roll there, Pancho.
I'm just saying it's
The difference is you're going against Blake. I might show up Bortles. Versus Carson Wentz.
Right, but Carson Wentz we saw last week. He looked pretty good against the Colts, but he didn't look great. Like he didn't look like he looked like last year. So he's still getting his game legs under him.
I get that, but I will take a 70% Carson Wentz over 130% Blake Bortles every day.
Oh, I would too. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I think it has to do with the fact that the Eagles defense is missing a couple guys right now too, and I think that it wasn't nearly as they're not nearly as good on defense and on defensively as the Jags. So I feel like, and also being at home again, like I don't know. I like Tennessee here. I really do. If they're as good as they played week 3 and week 2, I like Tennessee. I'm taking Tennessee. I just want to make my pick there.
You take Tennessee, and I will take Alshon Jeffries and Carson Wentz.
All right, let's do it. So yeah, I just think it being at home, the Titans have been a weird team to gauge. Like I was saying earlier, they've been hard to figure out, but I don't think they're a bad team. And I like Mike Vrabel. He's coaching aggressively. He's not playing to lose like some coaches when they punt on 4th and inches and they're down 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter like the Chargers do last week. That was insane to me. Oh my god. So I mean, you're down 12 points in the 4th quarter and it's 4th and inches in over the 50 and you're punting it. Like, do you not want to win? That's just how I feel. That's why the Eagles were so successful last year. Going to back to this is because they were aggressive when they needed to be, and that gets you somewhere. So, but with that being said, yeah. But by the way, if it was in Philadelphia, I'd probably take Philly. So, but I don't know. I'm just not sure what the Eagles are right now. They're kind of a weird team, so I think that the Titans might be better.
Okay. Next game, 1 o'clock. The Houston Texans with Mr. J.J. Watt, who I think had 3 sacks on Sunday.
He did. They had 4 in total as a team, and he had 3 of them.
Yeah, going to play Captain Andrew Luck.
Yes.
You got to follow that guy on Twitter. That dude's hilarious.
You're referring to
pickled prairie dog and what was it? Pickled prairie dog and something other pies was what he tweeted to Mom today.
Yeah, you're talking about the Andrew Luck account that talks like he's from World War or like the Civil War or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that crap is hilarious. So yeah,
he actually had 2 tweets today that I saw. It was pretty funny. So, anyways, football. Texans at Colts. Neither team is good. Neither team is bad. Both teams are great, and both teams suck. So I don't know which team is going to show up for which team.
I gotta be honest. I have to tell you, I disagree with what you said there because the Colts are a little weird, but well, here's the thing, right? So what are the Colts right now? Like, what's their record?
The Colts?
Yeah. Do you know it off the top of your head?
They're 1-2. Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing. They should have won week 1. We already been over this, and they If Jack Doyle doesn't fumble that, they probably drive down and score a touchdown and win the game. I know that's a lot of maybes and hindsight's 2020, but I
Coulda,
thought
shoulda, woulda.
exactly coulda, shoulda, woulda. But they should have beat Cincinnati. They didn't, but they should have. Week 2, they destroyed what we thought was a good Redskin team, which turned out to just be a bad Cardinal team. Week 1, so I don't know what the Redskins are. And Week 3, they had more than enough chances to beat the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. They just couldn't pull it off either because I know I didn't see that game close enough, but I was watching that on Red Zone a little bit here and there. But they've been in all these games and been competitive with 3 teams that I think are, a little frisky. And I just need to say that I don't think the Texans are good at all. They have probably the worst offensive line in football. And Deshaun Watson looks super inaccurate. And I mean, J.J. Watt's finally starting to get his rhythm going, which, if he does, he can change this game. He's that kind of player, but I don't know if he is anymore after not playing for like almost a year and a half or whatever it was. I just think this game is not as close as you made it out to be initially. I'm taking the Colts, but I'm taking them by like a touchdown or 2. I think that they're going to be at least 10 points.
I have you down for the Colts, sir.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
You don't know how to pick?
I don't. Well, I don't try. I mean, so all that you just said, and coulda, shoulda, woulda, coulda did this, coulda done that, shoulda done this, shoulda done that. Well, if that all happened for the Raiders, they'd be 2-1.
Yeah.
As an example, I mean, it's 1-2 plays, but you got to make the plays, man. You got to show up. Now, but on the other hand, the Texans haven't won anything yet, and they're giving up like oodles of points, and they can't score. So when Deshaun was playing last year, they were averaging like 33.5 or 34.5 points or something a game. It's some ridiculous amount of points. They were putting points up left and right. And now I could literally go out there and probably run around with my old ass and put up more points than them.
Yeah, when you get kind of, pretty much controlled for 60 minutes against the Giants, you might not be that good of a football team.
It's
gonna put that out there.
Know, man. I hate doing this because my feelings on the matter, but I'm taking the Colts, and I don't know why.
Because they're gonna win, and I'll tell you
I'm
what.
only taking them because they're at home. If they were playing in Houston, I'd take the Texans. I don't think either one of these
fair.
teams deserve to win. They should just tie and call it a day.
Well,
just don't even show up.
We've got 2 ties on the year so far through 3 weeks. We might get our third because that's the kind of game that I could see. Overtime, 4 minutes left, and Andrew Luck's or Deshaun Watson's getting the ball with 4 minutes left and on his own 8, and it's like he's got to drive 92 yards,
and he'll go 91,
and they'll freaking tie it. So I mean that's the game I can see that happening this week over any other except maybe Cleveland, Oakland, but
yeah, that game I don't even.
But yeah, I just think that the Texans are a bad team, and I think the Colts are a good/bad team. So
just a less bad team.
Exactly.
I think they're both bad teams.
I don't think the Colts are that bad. They've got frisky defensive players now too. Like Marcus Hunt was just destroying Carson Wentz and that offensive line for like a lot of that game last week in Philly. Like that guy looks, huh?
And they lost.
They did. No, they did. But I'm just saying they're not as bad as they used to be. Their left tackle situation is still trash, but which that doesn't help against Clowney and J.J. Watt. But I don't know. I'm just saying I don't think they're as bad. Like they're not a bottom 5 team to me. So, yeah. So we're both taking Colts. Is that right?
Yes, begrudgingly.
Well, not me because they're gonna smack them. So, all right. We've got
now. Watch Deshaun get his groove back and put up 45.
and he's capable of it at any point. They got the weapons. They got Will Fuller, who's been lights out since he started. I think he came back week 2. I think he just missed 1 week, but he's looked awesome. And DeAndre Hopkins does his thing, man. So
okay, so now let's go to the next 1:00 game that has me a little angry with one of these teams because I was doing so good in my survivor pool until I picked the Vikings to beat the Bills.
Oh, yeah, and then they lost 27-6 in Minnesota.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
So
Bills at Packers.
Yeah, so what do you got to say about this shenanigans?
So, 2 things. One, I have no idea what to expect from Buffalo after last week and the week before, because that's 2 Josh Allen starts. One was
He didn't start this. He didn't start week 2.
yeah, he did. He started the Charger game.
Did he start or did he show up like?
No, he came in week 1 when they were
Okay.
losing
Okay.
to Baltimore 47-3. And then
Okay, that's right.
they were down at halftime of week 2. He started week 2 was his first start. They were down 28-3, I think, or 21-3, something like that at halftime against the Chargers. And he started to kind of make it a game in the second half. It was kind of, you could argue it was all garbage time stuff, but he was making some plays and stuff. So he was looking better, and the offense looked like it had life in it. And week 3, they played well. They dominated Minnesota in Minnesota, which is super weird, but it happened. And LaShawn McCoy came out, I think today or yesterday, one of the two, and he said he's going to play this week. So Shady will be back, which helps their offense immensely because he's really good. We'll see if he still is. He's kind of getting up there, but either way, I like him, and the offense can only improve it. I think it won't hurt them. So what I said about Minnesota earlier, like the whole Bill Simmons-ism, are we sure they're good? Same thing with the Packers. Are we sure they're good? But the problem with that is it's because Aaron Rodgers is hurt. He doesn't look like himself. He looks good still, and he's like, he's capable to do most of the things that he can do. But he's not 100% himself. And he hasn't been since he came back after halftime of that Chicago game on the Sunday or Monday night. I think it was Sunday night. Yeah, it was. It's the same story as the Vikings. It's a mirror image of the two teams in the NFC North because they're both 1-1. They tied each other. That's how similar these teams are. Are we sure they're good or are we sure they're bad? Because they literally couldn't beat each other. So.
Yeah.
I think that they are good. It's just that they're hindered by Rodgers being hurt. So because he's not fully himself, so they can't be their full potential. Because I don't think if he was healthy that this would be the case with them, but it is because that's just the card they were dealt right now with Khalil Mack pretty much destroying his legs. So Rodgers' legs. So I'm taking Green Bay because it's in Green Bay, and I'm not saying I would even take Buffalo if it was in Buffalo. I would just feel better about maybe taking Buffalo because of what they did last week. But I do think last week was an anomaly. I don't think Buffalo's as good as they played last week. So I'm taking Green Bay because I expect Rodgers to drop some dimes and just, put up 25 or 28, something like that, and just be able to, if Josh Allen can find a way to outscore Aaron Rodgers, then I'll be shocked.
Well, so, long story short, I agree with most of what you said, but they had to sign Rashad Breeland today because the Packers, that is, because they lost Devon House for the year. So
yeah, big loss. I didn't see that.
Yeah, so I'm going with the Bills only because I need to catch up to you.
You're just trying to make ground on the pick'em.
Yeah, no, I'm like that game's. I don't know. I don't know what Bills team shows up. I don't know what Packer team shows up. I know Devon House is out. I know Josh Allen's hot. I know Shady's coming back. Hey, I'm going for it. I'm taking the Bills.
Wow. So you're taking Buffalo.
I'm taking the Buffalo Bills over the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's actually crazy. I can see a lot. If they play like they did last week on both sides of the ball, they can beat Green Bay because I don't think Green Bay is 100%. I think they're vulnerable. And like you said,
Green Bay is not as good as everybody thinks Green Bay is.
That's what I'm saying.
They would be if Rodgers was healthy, exactly. If they still had Jordy Nelson.
Right.
They don't.
That's what I'm saying. I 100% agree. I'm still taking them, but I agree with you. So.
We should let Mike Florio know that the Packers suck. That'll make him happy.
Does he hate the Packers?
No, he loves the Packers. Every single time they come out with the power rankings every week, it's like he finds some reason to make the Packers could lose and he'll still raise them up in the power rankings.
Is he a Packers fan?
I don't know, but I'm gonna not say things. I don't know, but all I know is that everybody always makes fun of him because he's always making. They're like, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers has only got 2 sprained ankles and 1 bad knee, so we're going to raise him up 3 points in the power rankings. It's what you do, dude.
I will defend him right here, even though I'm not really fond of Mike Florio.
He
personally.
banned you on Twitter.
He did ban me on Twitter. So, old account, a long time ago. I used to be much more vulgar on Twitter at sports writers and stuff like that. But I did some growing up.
At 4 in the morning, though, right?
Yeah. So I did some growing up. Blah blah blah. Anyway, here we are. I'm not blocked right now from him, so we're good. But all that can change in an instant. No. But just to defend him, week 4 power rankings, they were 8 last week. He bumped them down 5 spots. So he said Vegas knew something about the Packers that the rest of us are finally figuring out. They're not very good, which I agree with.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay, I take everything back I said then.
They're 14th. Yeah. So, well, it's 1 week. I mean, you're usually right. I'm guessing. So I don't think it's like that crazy to say he.
I just like to go through all the PFT comments on articles I'm interested in and stuff. And I always check the power rankings because I like to see the Raider fans get all pissed off when we suck and they're like, oh, we don't suck, we coulda, shoulda. And I'm like, bro, we're 0-3, so shut up. But so every single comment in there is always about how Florio's bumping the Packers up. So anyways,
funny.
I got no hate for Mike Florio. It was a joke.
No, yeah, I got you. That's funny. I've never seen that, and I always lurk the PFT comments too. So that's interesting. I'll have to look out for that. I'm gonna read that later on once we're done with this. I'm gonna peruse some and just see if I can find that. So
yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, so we spent too much time on a game that's gonna be 30-6 Green Bay. It is exactly what it'll be, I'm guessing. Let's move on to Detroit Lions at the Dallas Cowboys. This game's interesting to me because I like the Dallas Cowboys defensive front seven, and they don't have a terrible defense overall anyway. It's not great, but it's not awful. It's frisky. They can hit the quarterback.
You like that word today, frisky?
Yeah, frisky. I'm feeling frisky. Because I need New England to beat Miami. If the Lions basically woke up from their 3-week nap last week after beating the Patriots' ass on Sunday Night Football, they're going to be kind of dangerous throughout the year. They could be frisky. So,
well, here's the thing. Here's on that note. Here's something important to note. TJ Lang, will probably be back, and Ziggy will be back.
Right. They didn't have. I thought TJ Lang, did he not play Sunday night?
He did not play.
Okay, maybe that rings a bell. I couldn't tell you. But
and I could be wrong.
No, but I think you're right. But even then, they'll definitely be able to have they'll be able to hit the quarterback. They'll be able to chase Dak a little too with Ziggy coming back, because that's huge for them. I mean, Chris Collinsworth was talking on the Sunday night broadcast about.
Now here's a guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I just hate Chris Collinsworth. I'm sorry. But yeah, they hit Tom Brady a few times or several times. I don't know what the exact number is for the sacks, but they had several coverage sacks, and they were all coverage sacks because, like, again, New England can't get open right now, and Gronk's double or triple team. But the point is, they were hitting Brady, and if they can replicate that kind of defensive pressure, and especially with Ziggy coming back, who just is pressure on his own, whether or not there's good coverage, he can just get you. They're going to be good, I think. So I'm still not sold on Matt Patricia. I don't know what to think about them, but I think they're right now that if they're playing better right now as of literally right now as of 1 week than Dallas. So I'm taking Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, the way I feel about the whole thing is that the Lions are getting some guys back that they've been missing, and Mr. Kojo, Kerryon Johnson,
he's looked
broke
good.
100 yards.
Yeah, how long was the drought? Detroit hasn't had a 100-yard rusher until Sunday night against the Patriots for how many years?
Like 640 or something.
Yeah, it was like
since before they invented football.
It was like AD, right? It was like AD time or something like that. It was or BC, something like that.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
In a millennium. But yeah, they finally have a 100-yard rusher, and He's good, man. He can do stuff like out of the backfield catching the ball, which they usually just bring Theo Riddick in for, but he can catch and he's good. Kerryon Johnson, they might have found something. And I know we say that every 2 years when we think, oh, Amir Abdullah might be the guy. He's not, or who was it? Gerard Best? Was that his name? Javid Best.
Javid Best, yeah.
Javid Best was his name. Maybe he's the guy. Like, no, dude. None of these dudes are the dude. But he might be the dude who's the dude. So he looks good so far. So we'll see. I mean, he'll probably, get Detroit Lions.
The last dude who ran for the Lions for over 100 yards was Reggie Bush in Week 13 of 2013.
Oh, yep, 5 years.
Yeah, it's a long time. So I've also, as a side note, I've also picked the Lions for that game.
Yeah,
I just think the Lions are a better team than the Cowboys. The Cowboys, sorry to your buddy Colt, they suck.
Sorry, Colts, if you're listening. Yeah, they do suck, and I think it's because
the
play calling is horrendous.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but who is it? Scott Linehan is offensive coordinator. The play calling in Dallas is awful. It just is so bad. It's like I've said this last week too. I'm pretty sure. On the pod, or maybe I was just ranting to you off air.
No, it was on the pod.
Yeah, dude. It looks like a Madden game. Like I said, I think I remember now. They call. Oh, I almost just cursed because I'm just like so annoyed by Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan. I almost like said like, you know what I mean? But like they call like freaking like 4 verticals or something like that simple-minded crap because it's just like I don't know. Their playbook has to probably be the easiest playbook to memorize, I'm guessing, for players because they just don't. It's all vanilla.
Yeah, let's get off that game because that game's going to be not good.
I'm hoping I don't see it at all in red zone. I hope it's 6-3 so that I don't have to see a touchdown at all. But
Buccaneers at Chicago. This game is going to be intriguing.
I think so too. If we can get a good Trubisky performance, it should be very interesting.
I don't know about that. If we can get a typical Mac performance,
right? That too, right?
That's the thing. If he can get loose, oh man, I'm just wondering. I don't know. It'll be an interesting game because so Chris Conley's out, right? So apparently he was hurt and he was trying to play.
Right.
And then Vance McDonald planted his
You can say ass.
Person.
He did. He knocked his ass down.
He planted him. Well, it was so funny too. I don't know if you were watching like when it actually happened, but the first time he tried to like just kind of nudge him, and Connie was like, "I got you," and McDonald's like, "Down." It was pretty awesome.
I actually was probably looking down, texting you, I think. But I saw it all on. I saw the replay, and I also saw it all over Twitter, obviously, because like. Well, I mean, Vance McDonald was trending because they were like his career's over, or Chris Connie, yeah. Yeah, Chris Connie was trending because Vance McDonald killed him. Basically, it was insane. The stiff arm. If you don't know what we're talking about Monday Night Football. The Steelers tight end Vance McDonald basically caught a ball. He was running down I think it was the left sideline, and basically Chris Connie was trying to tackle him, and he basically stiff armed him to hell. So rest in peace, Chris Connie. And he's on IR now. So that sucks for.
Yeah, he even said he shouldn't have played. He said Chris Connie, he's like, you know what, my PCL's jacked up. I shouldn't have played. Tried to go, and wasn't able to perform. And then I got planted, and that's pretty much the end of my day. And now he's on IR. So
yeah, that sucks.
I'm still waiting for Vita Vea to show up.
Right,
he's lost the dude's like I don't know 320, 30 pounds, and down to probably like 160 now. I heard he lost a whole bunch of weight, but. Waiting for him to show up. Chris Godwin, he's supposed to go. He's got a sore toe. Everybody has a sore toe.
He looked good week 3 against. He was kind of quiet and he.
Godwin?
Yeah, Godwin looked. Yeah, Godwin is interesting to me because there's a lot of players on the Buccaneers offense that are really good. Like I like Cameron Brate at tight end a lot, and now they have someone better than him at OJ Howard. So like they have a two-headed monster at tight end, which. I didn't see, but I feel like they probably should be playing both of them more. I don't know if they
They
do.
they they did. They played. They had a whole lot of 2 and 3 tight end sets that they were playing, and they were
Okay,
throwing out of them too. They weren't just
right,
running the.
and
That it wasn't just running the ball.
that's what I
They
mean.
were running routes. They'd split OJ Howard out on a motion, and they had a lot of
Okay, good
2
because
and 3 tight end sets.
that's what you need to do because Cameron Brate's good. Like he's actually very like he could start on a lot of teams as their tight end, like a lot of teams, and
Yeah, he is
OJ
really
Howard
good.
better. So that's how that tells you like he's better than him. Like they're both really freaking good. And then you got Mike Evans who's just sick. I love Mike Evans. He's so freaking good. Like
He's
he's
on both my fantasy teams.
no
But going back to Chris Godwin though, Chris Godwin dropped
a
I
touchdown.
think 2 good passes that were right to him, and he fumbled the ball when he shouldn't have fumbled the ball,
Yeah,
and one of those drops was in the end zone.
that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, exactly. One of the drops. That's what I'm saying. He looked good. One of the drops was in the end zone. It should have been a touchdown. They had to settle for a field goal, and then he did also later on catch a touchdown.
Yes.
So
I'm going, so I don't know. What do you do? They're playing in Chicago. They got way above average defense. I mean, I don't know. I would call them the best defense in football, but they're way up there. And so that's Tampa Bay's thing, right? Score, 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 because we ain't stopping anybody. And now they got Chris Connie out also, so that's not going to help.
right. Well,
I mean, what do you do?
well, here's what I don't do if I'm Tampa Bay. I don't run the ball because that was the thing that started to screw with them in the first half of the Monday night game against Pittsburgh was started to run it. And no offense, but Peyton Barber's not your guy. So, and that's their starting.
No, but also Bostic was blowing stuff up. I almost said a bad word. Bostic was blowing everything up. Bostic was like
they were sending him
crack that night.
Yeah, he was on crack. I should probably block that out too. Saying a player was on. Have you? By the way, you probably haven't heard this, but there was a. I'm gonna go on a tangent real quick because
you never do that.
I never do that. No, it's real quick. There, who Stephen A. Smith. There's a soundbite of him talking about Lamar Odom, and all you hear him say is, "And he was on crack." And it was so GD funny. Oh my god, it was so funny. So
yeah, but I don't mean literally on crack.
No.
I just mean the dude was everywhere. Every time I turned around, I was like, "There's Bostic. There's Bostic. There's Bostic. Hey, who's that? Oh, it's Bostic."
Right, 51 or 52, whatever his number was, just through the line. But no, I get what you meant. I just was the way you said it made me think of Stephen A. So I just had to say that.
I'm telling you, that dude was everywhere.
He was.
So. I mean, the running game just wasn't going to be successful because I don't know what he had. It's like I don't know.
I mean, they couldn't run it against New Orleans or Philly either. And I'm not sure if they tried against New Orleans. I don't even know if they tried because I don't know if they had to.
That was probably more of a shootout than anything else. They didn't. I mean, they
really
both put up like 190 stats or 190 points.
Exactly. So it really was a shootout. But they did. I know they couldn't run the ball against Philly. So, I don't know. Personally. And this has the makings of a game that's like watching Red Zone. It's 1:00. I'm watching the Patriots, down 10 in the fourth quarter to Miami and getting pissed off. And then Scott Hansen on, because there's two Red Zone feeds. Andrew Siciliano, who I like, but I like the Scott Hansen feed. I think he's cool. So I could just see Scott Hansen going. And a little more drama in the fourth quarter of the Bucks Bears. I just think this game could be really interesting. I actually might watch this game at 1 also in addition to the Pats game. So, but I'll only watch it for a quarter. If it sucks, it sucks because you will know quickly if it's a good game or not. I think Tampa Bay is good. They should have beat Pittsburgh, and it's kind of weird. So, did you watch the Monday night game?
Yes.
So against Pittsburgh,
mostly, yeah.
Yeah. So Tampa against Pittsburgh, we got a lot of bad Fitzpatrick, who we've seen before in the first half, and then
but he came back though, dude.
He came back, and that's the point. Is if he threw 3 interceptions, and I think all 3 were in the first half, but maybe only 2 were. I think maybe.
Well, I know that 2 of them weren't his fault though.
Right.
One of them he hurled, and of course my man Bostic jumped. Not my man. Bostic jumped up, batted it up, and it shot about 90 feet in the air on the goal line in the red zone. I think he threw it from about the 11 or 12 yard line.
Yeah, it was in the red zone.
And they picked it off. And then another one was the receiver stopped running the route.
Yeah. Okay, exactly. And that's the thing too. Is also, and I should have said that. In fairness to him, because I did forget about the actual context of the picks, but there was one bad pick, and I think that bad pick was the pick six.
Yeah.
But that's the point. Is if he doesn't throw that pick six, they probably win that game. So if he can just correct the issues and just keep doing what he's been doing, and they just I think that Tampa Bay's got a shot here. It's in Chicago. It makes me a little weary, but it's only going to be. Well, no, it's still not technically October till Monday, but it's only going to be early fall in Chicago. It's not going to be like winter, and it's not January. So, I'm going to get ballsy here. I'm going to take the Bucks. I'm going to say that they correct the things that they had issues with week 3 and shouldn't have lost, and they continue on their journey for the NFC South Division title, which they might get this year. So,
yeah. Before I tell you my pick, I just have a question for you. Right?
Shoot.
No explanation needed. I don't care the order of whether they're 1 through 5. Okay, but I just want you to tell me, who do you think are the just this is all opinion, so don't get technical, people, whoever's listening. Who do you think are the top 5 running backs in football?
Who do I think the top 5 running backs are?
Yeah, like if you were going to pick a running back.
I'll list 5 for you, but I can't do them in order, so I'm just listing the 5.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. And even if you miss one, because it's more of if you're going to mention a particular one than anything else. So there's 5 in there. If you ask me that, I'd be like, I don't know. There's like 8 or 9 that I really like. But let's just say you pick 5, and I want to mention something.
Todd Gurley.
Yep.
I'm trying to think now. So Todd Gurley, David Johnson.
Yep.
Alvin Kamara is up there, I think.
Okay, you can stop now if you want, because you've mentioned the name that I was wanting you to mention.
Was it Alvin Kamara?
No. Who do you think is the team that has the least amount of rushing yards in all of the footballs right now? It's absolutely insane that this team
is it
with
New Orleans?
One of those. No. It's not New Orleans.
Oh,
with one of those 3 guys, although they're 28th, with one of those 3 guys that you mentioned, you would think they would say, "Here, could you please take this little pigskin thing and run that direction for me?" Yeah, the Cardinals.
Yeah, well, that's just because they're a bad team. They were trying to live off Sam Bradford the first 3 weeks, and they finally benched him because they realized that they can't move the ball with him because he's not good.
Yeah, but they're averaging 58 yards a game rushing.
Yeah,
I mean, even my crappy ass Raiders are averaging 100.
Well, it's easy to key in on one guy who's the best player when A, he's the best player, and B, and B, they can't do anything else anyway because they're not good.
Mind-boggling.
So I'm not that surprised, honestly. So yeah.
So I took the Buccaneers also. I know I sidetracked you, but we were talking about running the ball and this and that, yada yada, and I was like, oh yeah, well I wonder. Hey, you know what? We're probably like 4 hours into the podcast and only halfway through the games.
Yeah, we're not gonna make it as we were trying to do this within 60 minutes, and we're at minute 48. So we've got 7 games left, so we'll probably make another 90-minute pod, but that's fine. So speaking of that, you took Tampa also, you said?
Oh yeah.
All right, so we're moving.
I don't think. Yeah, I think they'll find a way to.
But I want to say what you said earlier is totally factual. If Khalil Mack and that defense can control that game, they'll win that game.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, so we're gonna move on.
Now, here's what I think is an interesting game.
It is an interesting game. I agree with you. It's Cincinnati Bengals at Atlanta Falcons. You want to take it?
Oh man, yeah. So the Bengals. Okay, I'm not gonna ramble a lot about this whole thing. So the Bengals, to me, pretty much every year, they're above average.
Yeah.
But every once in a while they can be like the 24th best team in the NFL.
Right.
But usually they're like a top 10 team in the NFL. And so because you never know what you're going to get, you kind of never really know where to go with that. But AJ Green's a little bummed up. Michael Johnson's a little They lost Ryan Glasgow, one of their defensive linemen. He's gone. Mixon is maybe coming back.
Yeah, he had a knee scope, and they said it's a possibility he can play, but I wouldn't count on it. And even if he does, he's not going to be his normal self, probably.
Right,
And
exactly.
they still
Okay,
have
so now,
they still have
so hold
Perfect
on.
out till week 5, by the way, on suspension, like you said earlier.
Yeah, so and
Off.
then now we go to Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
right? They got Fitzgerald, who's older than me, which is
Wait.
old.
You're looking at the wrong thing. You're talking. It's Atlanta.
Oh, oh yeah. What am I talking about?
You're talking about. You just thought of
I'm sitting
a.
here literally looking at Atlanta, and I said Fitzgerald for some
Well,
reason.
because the card, I know what you're looking at. So when we do this pod, just for people that are still listening, we look at the NFL schedules. I think I've said this before, and the Cardinals is right below the Falcons. So I could see how you screwed that up.
Yeah,
But yeah, the Falcons
yeah.
do not have
So, but
Fitzgerald.
anyways, but
Continue.
Julio's banged up,
Yeah,
right?
he is.
Ricardo Allen lost another secondary guy. He's done.
Dude, they're getting chewed up this year on defense injuries. They're the team getting killed with injuries this year more than any other team that I can think of so far.
Yeah, the Chargers, it always happens to them before the season starts, and this year during the season, it's the Falcons.
Yeah.
Based on that particular thing, I think the Bengals have too many weapons on offense.
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking Cincinnati. I'll just say that. I think that the Bengals are a good team.
I think they do.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think the Bengals are a good team. I do. I think the Falcons are a good team too, but I think if it gets into a shootout, I like Cincinnati's chances more. Although
yeah, there's just too many. There's too many. So everybody's like, oh well, you could sign some guy to play in the secondary. Well, you can, but the problem is the biggest thing about the whole secondary play for any team in the NFL or even in college is, so you're watching the game, you see everybody all lined up, and you see the guys that are playing in the secondary. They're like turning and looking and screaming and waving their hands and doing this and that and everything else. They're trying to figure out if it's zone, who's covering deep, who's not covering deep, what's the disguise. There's a lot of stuff going on. So when you start losing Keanu Neal, you start losing Ricardo Allen, these other people that are going to replace them, even if their skill-wise is good, they're not. There's no chemistry, and secondary is one of the biggest places to have chemistry in all of football. I mean, quarterbacks and receivers need to have a lot of rapport. But if the secondary doesn't know who's going to be covering who or going deep, or if you're just too slow, Reggie Nelson, it's it'll mess everything up.
Nelson,
and so I think I think that's going to cause them a problem.
Reggie Nelson unsubscribing to our podcast as we speak, but continue.
Reggie Nelson's a great dude, and he knows what he's doing. He's just slow.
I know.
He's just.
But I want to go back. I thought it was funny. I want to go back to what you said because that's super interesting to me. So I know we're on tangents now, and people are like, "Oh God, just move on from this game." But
nobody's listening, anyways.
Yeah, who cares? I don't care. But there's a couple people listening. But that's the thing about defense that you said is super interesting to me is because it's true. Like. That's why one year the Denver Broncos, like in 2011 or 12, whichever year it was, or 13, whatever it was, they can, or maybe it was 2012, I think, they can have the same guys that they had the years moving forward, but they were an okay defense, and then the year after they all get together, like the second year that they're together, they're kicking everybody's ass because they're finally cohesively playing together, and they're like, all right, we're good now. We have this chemistry. We've built this. It's the same thing with Seattle. They built chemistry. All those guys are good, but they're not doing anything that spectacular other than the fact that they play within themselves really well. They all tackle really well, which is a huge thing now. And they don't screw up their own assignments because they trust each other because there's chemistry.
Yeah, that's the thing. If I'm playing safety and and somebody's like, hey, we're playing this coverage or whatever, I have to do what I've got to do because the quarterbacks in the NFL, even the bad quarterbacks, right? So I'm not going to name any names, but even the bad quarterbacks know when they look and they're trying to recognize the defense and they see a coverage, right?
Yeah.
They know if this safety goes that direction, that dude's open. If he goes the other direction, that dude's open. Exactly. If he goes, so there's all these things that are going on in their head. So if you're playing a coverage and the corner is expecting you to be somewhere, you damn well better be there. And if you're not, then you end up losing and you're 0-3 Raiders.
Right. And then people think that you gave up, and then people think the corner got burnt, but in reality, you're supposed to sometimes pass it off to the safety, and the safety didn't do what he was supposed to do, and now it's touchdown.
Yeah, that happens every week.
That happens every week.
Everybody knows I'm a Raider fan, so I'm not going to harp on that. But so that's the team that I watch entire games of religiously. So to go to your statement, exactly, that's what happens. People say, oh, well, Sean Melvin didn't do anything this last week. He did. He did his job. The problem was everybody else that was supposed to be getting the guy as he went by him wasn't doing their job. And so it makes him look bad when really it wasn't his fault. And you're exactly right. Defense is all about being where you're supposed to be. It's when you're rushing the passer, you got to stay in your lanes, right?
Right.
You can't let the guys squirt out. That caused a bunch of problems for numerous teams this week of games I saw. Everybody's rushing the passer, a guy loops inside, and then the whole outside of the, everything outside the numbers is free and clear because all the other guys ran slants or posts or whatever. Quarterback runs for 29 yards because there's nobody there because you weren't staying in your rush lane.
Yeah, so I agree completely, and I just wanted to talk about that real quick because that's like real football talk.
It was
stuff.
my time for a tangent that time.
Yeah, and it was an interesting, more interesting tangent than I've ever had because it's actually interesting to me, and I agree with you. So I do want to say one thing. I was just thinking about this. Yeah, I think that because you said secondary and quarterback receiver are the most important must trust each other, have chemistry things. I just want to say also offensive lines. You need complete chemistry on an offensive line or it's crap anyway. So just because I was thinking about that.
Yeah, that's true because you got to know what this sounds dumb. You have to know the other lineman next to you. You have to know his vision. You have to know what he sees.
And
you have to get used to if the defensive lineman's coming this way and you see him at this part of, if he's like going for an outside shoulder or something, if you see him and he's not going to get it, that's one thing. If you see him and you assume he's going to get it, that's a whole nother thing. So
right.
Once you know what a guy is going to do and not going to do, then you can think to yourself, okay, well, I know this guy's got to go further, and my guy's not going to get that guy, so I need to get that guy.
Exactly. I agree completely. And I just wanted to talk
about I know a lot about football. I may act like a dumbass sometimes, but I actually know a lot about football. Anyways.
Let's go through these last 6 games. So, yeah, go ahead.
So that covers the Bengals and the Falcons.
Did we both take Cincinnati? Is that right?
Yeah.
I actually had one more thing about that game before we move on. I just wanted to say it should be noted that Julio, like you said, I think you said this part. Julio Jones is likely to play. He's banged up though. But we should mention Calvin Ridley had a coming out party last week. He did have 3 touchdowns and 146 yards. So
hey, let's not talk about Calvin Ridley because he was on my bench.
Yeah,
that's my fantasy team.
That's your fault. But he ain't
gonna I still won 150 to 93 though, so I'm fine.
But no, he's good. He's very good. So that's.
Oh yeah, I just didn't want to play him because I didn't know. This isn't fantasy talk, but I didn't play him because I wanted to wait until he kind of he broke out. Yeah, he started showing up, and then now Matt Ryan trusts him. I'm like, okay, put that dude in the game.
Exactly. So.
See, oh God, here we go.
Oh, this will be quick because we don't have to talk about this long. Seahawks at Cardinals, 4:00 Fox.
I picked the Seahawks.
Why?
Because the Cardinals suck.
Are we sure the Seahawks don't too?
At least they have Russell Wilson. Which isn't saying a lot, but it's better than saying at least you got Josh Rosen.
That's fair. Josh Rosen will get his first start.
Yep.
It probably won't go great because they're not, like you said, they're not a good team. Yeah.
And so this is oh my God, this is terrible. This is Buffalo, Minnesota written all over it. Not that does, thing, though. But I'm just saying Josh Rosen and Josh Allen, right? I see Josh Rosen throwing for like 3 touchdowns and running for a touchdown, and it's like 48-3, and I pick the Seahawks, and then I'm a dumbass, but I'm picking the Seahawks.
You know what? Because you said that, I'm taking Arizona.
It would not surprise me. Well, they're going to have to. If you're playing Rosen, if I'm Steve Wilkes, and I'm not because I wouldn't dare be a terrible head coach, I would give my best player the ball.
That was funny.
And, all the time.
Right,
like,
and they're going to have to ride him with a
you are a running back. I need you to run all the way back to the other end zone.
Right. They're going to have to run. They're going to have to lean on David Johnson more than they have at all this year because they've got a rookie quarterback and they don't want to throw him to the wolves, especially against Seattle. So that was why I was like, I didn't know who to pick. The Seahawks right now are a better team. I agree with that.
There's no confusion about that. But the problem is that if Steve Wilkes finally figures out that he's got David Johnson,
yeah,
they control the ball, there's no reason the Cardinals don't win this game because the Seahawks are not good, and the Cardinals only aren't good because they're not running the ball. Right. So
if David Johnson can get Steve Wilkes to unblock him on Twitter, then
Yeah,
it'll be fun. So or at least it won't be. Maybe it's not fine, but it'll be 6-10 instead of 0-16. So
exactly,
so
exactly.
and
Oh
and
God.
and they're gonna win. They're gonna win 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. So this is one that they can, and they've historically given Seattle some problems. So we'll leave it there. But yeah, I'm taking Arizona. So you're taking Seattle?
Yeah, only because I
It's a
don't trust
safe.
Steve Wilkes.
No, it's a safe pick.
I think on. Never mind. We're going to skip that game. So yes, you got the Cardinals. I got the Seahawks, and God knows who's going to win that one. Browns at Raiders. The 1-1-1 Browns at the 0-0-0-0-3 Raiders.
Ugh. Yeah. So Cleveland got their first win of the season last week against the Jets when Tyrod Taylor.
The second of the last 3 seasons.
Yes. So Baker Mayfield time, and he's going to start against your Oakland Raiders. The Raiders. So I'm taking Cleveland, but this game's going to be very close. And I think this is the game where Oakland kind of gets on track, and then I think I honestly think it'll be the thing where like they should be winning. They'll be in the lead in the fourth quarter, and then Twitter's going to explode at like 6:00 Eastern time because Baker Mayfield will do something insane.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. No number 1 overall draft choice quarterback has ever won their first start, but.
Right.
I would not be surprised if that happens this week.
Right.
The Raiders have not been behind in the score a single snap all season long in the first 3 quarters of a game. So what are they doing in the fourth quarter they're not doing in the first 3 quarters?
They're not
right?
They're not finishing is the problem.
Well, right. So that's the thing. They've led or been tied every snap the first 3 quarters of every single game. So even against the world champion Los Angeles Rams. So I don't know what to. I mean, I can tell you right now I'm picking the Raiders because I told you, and I will continue to tell you that I will pick them until they win. So hopefully me picking them makes them lose every game, and we get the number 1 overall choice. And we get to pick Joey Bosa's brother.
I can't knock you for that because I'm picking the Patriots every week because I'll never pick against my team. So I'm fine.
I would if I was.
Wouldn't.
See, I didn't pick against them week 1 only because the Rams were like a whole new thing, and I didn't know what that was going to be. They should have won the other 2 games earlier this year.
Right.
The second and third game, they should have won them. They lost those games. The other team didn't beat them; they beat themselves.
Right.
So this game, they should win this game.
I think they should too because, I mean, Cleveland's got a really good defense, I think, so that's going to be an issue. But I still think that Oakland's got probably, if they're playing to their potential, a better offense than Cleveland does have a better defense. Like I think
we were doing great against the Rams, dude.
Right,
we lead the league in yards,
dude.
Like nobody has more yards than we do.
And we should.
Well, that's probably not true.
Well, we should mention also. I want to say. He was quiet the first 2 weeks. Jordy Nelson had an Oakland Raiders coming out party. Like he finally did he have 2 touchdowns or 1?
1.
But he had 2 big plays. He had 2 like huge plays this past week. So
yeah, I lied. The Raiders are only 6th in total yards. They have more yards than the Chiefs do. Of course, the Chiefs have almost 9
million touchdowns.
Triple the points.
Yeah. Sorry. So I just want to say, Jordy Nelson, one of their biggest free agent acquisitions, the Raiders, 173 yards and a touchdown. He also fumbled it, but that's a coming out party, I think, for a free agent. So that's if they can keep replicating that, the Raiders might be able to turn a corner here. So
I'll hold my breath.
Yeah, so I will.
We lost. Well, they lost their kicker.
The Raiders
Donald Penn got concussed on. Okay, so check this out. I just would like to bring something up here real quick. This is more about officiating than anything else. So last week during the game, the Raider and who did they play?
The Dolphins.
Oh yeah. Sorry, the Dolphins. So remember when Will got hurt, their defensive lineman got hurt. Tackling Carr and landed full weight and put his arms out so he could squish him and tore his ACL and he's gone for the season. Okay, so if you look this isn't going to be long. If you look, his arms are out. He's obviously trying to put all his weight. They said, oh, he's trying to get out of the way. He wasn't trying to get out of the way. No flag. Before, the same thing happened to Carr. We got a flag, but it didn't actually happen. Never mind. Anyways, the point is, on that play when he tore his ACL, the very first thing he did was he ran up to Donald Penn because he was playing on the left side of the defense.
Right.
And Penn's the right tackle. He ran up and headbutted him as hard as he could. Bam! And Donald Penn just was all and went dizzy, and he was out the rest of the game. Which I'm fine with because in 6 snaps he gave up 2 hurries and a sack. So, and after that, the guy that replaced him, who was a guy we brought up from the practice squad 4 days earlier, gave up 1 rush or 1 hurry the whole game. So
yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I was rambling.
No,
but anyways,
that's fine.
So yeah, Nugent's on the IR. Donald Penn got a concussion. Jelly's still out. Worley's going to be back next week, so that does not help us this week. Oh God, what do I do? Who you got?
I'm taking Cleveland. I already said I am. I thought I did.
You did. I already wrote it down. I'm taking the Raiders because it's the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Let's move on to New Orleans Saints at New York Giants.
Saints.
Yes, I agree. We're picking the Saints, both of us. Giants are, kind of frisky at home. I keep saying frisky. Now it's in my head that's the word I'm thinking of now because you said that.
It's a thing now.
Huh?
It's a thing now.
Yeah, it's frisky itself is a frisky word. You know what I mean?
Frisky's risky.
Yeah. So, the Giants are, they're okay at home even when they're not great. But I just think the Saints are a pretty good team, and yeah, they probably should have lost to Cleveland week 2, but they showed a lot of mental toughness against the Falcons last week in Atlanta, beating them in overtime, and Drew Brees especially running for that game-winning touchdown was pretty cool. So, yeah, I just think the New Orleans is top to bottom a better team, and I think they'll play like it, and they'll win by at least a touchdown. And Alvin Kamara is just awesome. He's your prototypical workhorse back. He can do it all. Drew Brees just goes to him it feels like I feel like on Sunday I watched, and against the Falcons, I watched him throw to Kamara either checking down or across the middle 10 times in a row. It was crazy. He just constantly goes at him because he trusts him and he's good. And the guy is so hard to tackle too. He's not hard to hit, but he's hard to bring down. He just keeps moving those legs and he just keeps going, dude. It's crazy. So I'm taking Saints by a few. Quite a lot, actually, probably. So,
yeah, I got the Saints. I'm not sure how many it's going to be. It depends on I don't know. That game to me's got sketchy kind of written all over it too, because the Falcons are not great, and the Saints needed overtime to beat them. The Giants obviously are not great either, but if they play up to their roster, they may not suck as bad as we think they suck. So it's going to be interesting. But I got the Saints by a touchdown.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I'm not saying the Giants are garbage or anything. I'm just saying that they're not great, and they're frisky at home, so it's possible that they beat New Orleans. I'm not saying it's crazy. I just think New Orleans is a better roster, so I'm taking them because I feel safer doing that. But I can envision a world for sure when it's a 6-point game going into the fourth quarter and the Giants win the game. I can absolutely see that. So, but I just don't think it'll happen. But it's not impossible. So we're both taking New Orleans. We'll move on from that game. That's the quickest one we've done so far.
This one will be quicker.
Oh, it'll be very quick. So 49ers at Chargers. Chargers by a lot. They've got a good offense. They've got a pretty good defense, even though they've given up some points lately. I think that they're going to correct that here, especially with the sad news that I think during the second half, I want to say, of week 3 against who were the Niners playing? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I will look it up real quick. They were playing the Chiefs, yes.
Oh, that's right. Justin Houston said he should have ran out of bounds.
He should have.
That 1 yard cost him his ACL.
It did. So So what I was getting to exactly that is Jimmy Garoppolo out for the year, torn ACL. They pretty much knew right away. He basically was going out of bounds, and everyone's like, "Well, he got hit out of bounds," but he actually initiated the contact. He kind of shouldered the defender when he was already out of bounds, and his knee was okay, and it just gave out on him. So it looked pretty bad right away, and they were saying there were reports initially from I think Ian Rappaport of NFL Media that they were fearing the ACL immediately, and ultimately that's what it was. So Jimmy Garoppolo done for the year. CJ Beathard time again. Thank God, because
Yay.
we're really excited about that. Not much else to say. The Chargers are a weird team. They're both 1-2, these teams, but they're a very different 1-2. And the Chargers are gonna at home probably put up 35. So, and I don't know if the Niners can put up 10 with CJ Beathard. We'll see, but it's gonna be a bloodbath, I think. So I'm taking LA.
Same.
I
got nothing. I have nothing to add. I mean, we pretty much covered it.
Yeah.
2G's gone, so it's done. Wrap it up.
It is. Their season's over, and it sucks, but that's football.
Toodaloo.
Yeah. So let's move on to the Sunday night game. It's actually a pretty interesting matchup.
Oh Lord.
Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 2-1 Ravens versus the 1-1 Pittsburgh Steelers. So, what do you think about this game?
Man, this game, I've been sitting here staring at it for like an hour trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this game. So it's 8 something at night, right? 8:20 kickoffs, like 8:25 or something like that. The Steelers are not good, but they're not bad. It's like what Steeler team shows up.
Yeah, but even when a quote unquote good Steeler team shows up, they're still not that good, dude. That's the thing. Like they don't have a good defense. I'm just gonna put that out there right now. They don't. They should have lost to Cleveland because Cleveland got in their own way and shot themselves.
They beat Tampa Bay.
They beat Tampa Bay, but it took 3 interceptions and a pick 6 is one of them, and I also think a fumble too.
But that's a good definition of a good defense.
No. 2 of those interceptions you immediately said were not his fault.
No. I get that. I do. Hey, let's not get that all twisted. No, I definitely agree. Those weren't Fitzpatrick's fault, but the Steelers still got him.
No, and that's fine. And you're right. I can't take that away from them, even though I would want to, because I hate the Steelers personally. But I just don't think they're a good team. I'm not saying they're a bad team. I think they're a mediocre team is what I think. And I think that they're average. I don't think they're going to win that division. I don't even think, hot take, Pittsburgh ain't going to the playoffs. I'm going to put that out there right now. I don't think they are. So, 8-9 wins, and that's fine. But, so I'm looking at total at the... So how do you rate a good defense? Like total yards per game given up? Because that's what NFL.com has.
No, I mean, you can do points a game. You can do yards a game. You can do...
Well, Pittsburgh's got the 29th ranked defense on NFL.com. Baltimore has got the 1st.
Right.
But also Baltimore is a little skewed with that stat because they beat Buffalo week 1 47-3. So they basically only played 2 games. Because that game doesn't really count if you really look at how bad that Buffalo team was week 1 especially. But I don't know, man. I just think Baltimore's better, and I'm taking Baltimore. Even though it's in Pittsburgh, I'm taking Baltimore. I just think they're a better roster and a better team. Oh, no. I actually want to backtrack that. I'm sorry. I don't think they're a better roster, but I think they are a better team, if that makes sense. Because Pittsburgh's got all the talent in the world. They just don't perform up to it. They never have. They like, how many times do I need to see New England rock this Pittsburgh Steelers team before people come to their senses about the fact that they're not really a Super Bowl contender anymore? They're just not. I don't think they are. I haven't viewed Pittsburgh as a team that's actually going to go to the Super Bowl in like 6 years. Have you? Because I haven't. I'm serious. I'm actually asking you.
My opinion is anybody can go. Well, not anybody. The Browns will never go, but anybody can go at any given time. It just takes a game. Takes the right game at the right time. Guys not being hurt. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. It's not just a straight talent to talent thing. If it was talent to talent, the Redskins would have won 10 Super Bowls in the 90s.
I
Thanks
get that.
Dan Snyder overspending on everybody. Talent doesn't mean anything.
No, and I get that, but I'm just saying talent mixed with being able to actually perform up to your level, which Pittsburgh doesn't always do. They rarely do. You know what I mean? Like, I I don't know, man. I just don't know about this. And man, Pittsburgh drives me crazy because they should be 14-2 every year, and they're not. They never are, and I don't know why. And I honestly
because they're missing a bunch of guys. They got their injury report is like not pleasant.
But they're not always missing a bunch of guys, and they have this issue every year. And sure, they're more hurt right now than they usually are, but Marcus Gilbert, their tackle, is game time decision. David DeCastro is week to week, but he's probably not going to play this week. Eli Rogers is still out, so I get that. And then, but that's it. And then, of course, now their defense, by the way, I think they really miss Ryan Shazier. I really do. But I'm saying he's that good. He really mattered to that defense, dude. So
I know. And the thing is they'll just have to figure out how to work around that. I got the Steelers, dude. I got the Steelers at home. I'm picking the Steelers. I'm doing it. James Conner going to run for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns.
He might.
Write it down.
He might, but they still lose by 3. Baltimore, baby, 3-1. All right, we're moving on. But that. I do think that'll be a close and interesting game to watch. I'm gonna have fun watching that game because even though I hate both those teams with a passion, I really do. I think they're going to be. Both those games they play this year, those 2 divisional games are going to be fun. So I'm excited for that game, actually. That's a good Sunday night matchup. Last game, October 1st, Monday Night Football. The Kansas City Chiefs, the 3-0 Kansas City Chiefs, the Patrick Mahomes, versus the 2-1, surprisingly, Denver Broncos. So this has potential on Monday Night Football to be the game where everyone's like, oh, so Patrick Mahomes isn't as good as we actually thought he was. That's how I feel about this.
Chiefs by 20.
Really? So you're sticking with the Mahomes train?
Tyreek Hill, Albert Wilson. They have too many guys that are too fast that just cannot be covered, and the Broncos are not the no-fly zone anymore.
They're not, but I do still think they're a really, really, really serviceable defense. And I know that they lost Su'a Cravens, who I actually was doing some stuff for them, but for the year. But I just... man, it's hard to play in Denver and it's hard to win in Denver, man. It's just hard. No matter whether or not that team's good, it's hard to win in Denver. That altitude kills you. That crowd kills you. It's tough, man. I'm just saying. I think Kansas City's gonna win.
If the Raiders didn't lose 3 defensive linemen in that game due to injury, the Raiders would have won that game. They just couldn't get off the field and rotate anybody because they had nobody else to rotate. They beat the terrible Raiders by a field goal with 6 seconds to go.
Right.
The Chiefs are way better than the Raiders are, and the Chiefs historically play really good in Denver.
No, so listen. Let me say something there to that. They are better. They're a lot better than Denver, but I'm not. I don't think. I mean, they're not going to go 16-0, so they're going to lose some games probably. And this has one, and this has a potential to be the game where they catch them. And like I said earlier, this might be a game where Patrick Mahomes throws 2 interceptions and only 2 touchdowns. And I say only 2 touchdowns, but I mean he's been throwing he's been throwing friggin' 9 a game basically. He's been see, we're both cursing. It's an hour 20 in. We're losing it. I just think it's hard to play in Denver, and I'm gonna pick Denver. So I'm doing it.
I got the Chiefs.
I got Denver 20-18.
I got the Chiefs. Probably 31-17.
I can see that for sure. And if that happens, I won't be shocked. I just think it's a game that Denver can win. I don't think it's some of these games where we're like, ugh, do we even want to talk about this game? I don't view it as that. So, all right.
I just don't see Denver. I don't know. Hey, you never know.
Enough?
You never know.
You don't see Denver being able to score enough, because that could be the issue, really.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is that I don't know, but I know that KC's going to put up 30-something points.
Probably.
And Denver hasn't at all.
Right.
I don't see it happening.
I feel like it's a game where they can trap them. So I'm taking Denver. So, All right, we did about as good as we did last week, an hour and 20. So we're getting there. We got to stop going on some tangents about stuff, but we'll get it. So this was episode 5 of the 108.1 FNFB podcast. Yeah. So check us out on YouTube. We're gonna be on other places soon, probably. Gotta figure some of that stuff out. But yeah, that's the podcast. You got anything else you want to say?
This is going to be a really weird week of football. I know the previous 3 weeks have been weird, but this one's going to be just as weird. There's going to be teams that do things or show up, like
Dolphins win, Broncos win, Jets win.
No, I mean I could see like the Bills, right? I mean I'm not predicting this, but I'm just saying this is something weird that could happen. Like the Bills all of a sudden become the Bills of like the 90s. Where they go to the Super Bowl every friggin' year, which I don't think is going to happen. But I'm just saying, it's going to be a weird week. There's going to be some weird stuff that happens.
I'll say one thing about the Bills. I just want to say one thing since we're at the end and no one cares anyway. If Josh Allen ends up actually being good, they're going to look like an entirely different team for the rest of the year. Because if he is good, I'm a firm believer that a quarterback, as long as nothing actively gets in the quarterback's way, meaning like a decimated offensive line, that type of thing, I'm a firm believer that a good quarterback, a genuinely good quarterback, can cover up a plethora of mistakes and fail in like faults on a team. So if he is as good as he looked last week, they're gonna, you know what I mean? Like they can win games like this Green Bay game. That Green Bay doesn't look super sharp because Rodgers is hurt. Like they can beat Minnesota's ass in Minnesota last week because Minnesota's probably not as good as people thought they were. And like that's what I'm saying. Like he's had a game. He had a quarter in the Baltimore game, and he had the full Chargers game. But and they got destroyed the first half, but they made it interesting sort of in the second half because they were playing catch up. But they kicked Minnesota's ass last week, and Minnesota's a good team. I'm not sure how good, but they are a good team. So if Josh Allen's good, they can be dangerous. That's just a fact. It doesn't matter what the rest of the roster is. It doesn't mean they'll win, but they can be competitive in every single game. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I mean that's the story of the Bengals, the Lions, the Colts. They all have really good quarterbacks who most of the time play really well. Not all the time, but a lot of the time play really well, and so they're competitive and they're dangerous. Now, are those teams ever Super Bowl contenders? Hell no. But I'm not saying Buffalo will be either, but I'm saying if Josh Allen's good, they can be dangerous. And they can be a game where you're like, crap, I got to go up to Buffalo and play these guys and got to make sure we don't shoot ourselves in the foot because if not, they'll beat us. Like that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm a firm believer, and maybe he is good, and maybe we started to actually see that for real last week. So and maybe Minnesota just sucks, and we just don't know it yet because it's week 3 or it's week 4 now. But so yeah, that's episode 5. I think we're done. Are we done?
We're done. I'm gonna take a nap.
All right. Well, you do that. I'm gonna. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for whoever's still listening. 80 minutes in, 82 minutes in. We're gonna get a second pod going one of these weeks here. So we're gonna have 2 a week. One, I know I said this before, but we really haven't been able to do it yet. But soon we'll get a second pod where it's more like actual football talk instead of just like pick stuff. Because like we did a little bit of that earlier with like the secondary offensive line talk, which was really interesting, I thought. So I'd like to do like a solid hour, half an hour to an hour of that at some point every week too. So we'll get that stuff going too. So, but yeah, thanks for listening. And 108.1 FNFB. Seacrest out.
Toodaloo.